Hello and welcome to the shop. What's up, everybody? So, what have I been up to? You might not care, or some people might be actually following this build. So, I guess it's for everybody. So, here we go. We started with a GY6 150cc China buggy. It was called a Dazon Raider. It had the strut suspension on the front, like many of the Chinese buggies do. And I absolutely hate that. So I instantly got rid of that. And I switched to a Polaris Predator 500 front suspension. Actually, the whole front clip. I'll show you some stuff here. So originally, I cut the buggy off right here where the pedals were. And there was a round hoop that went on the front, and the suspension actually lined up to these bars. So then what I ended up doing was I changed to a Manco Helix front clip. And then when I realized that you can't really get parts like spindles and that kind of stuff that were breaking on the Manco stuff, so I completely cut that off, and I got the Polaris Predator roller for really cheap, so it was a no-brainer on that. So I got that thing, worked out all the kinks on the front end, and married that up to the same spot. Got two support bars going that way, and used the Fox shocks all the way around, which was cool, but that's another story. So, originally I retained the Polaris Predator suspension, which consisted of a box that bolted on underneath and had about 6 different linkages to it, and it was a little sloppy. And aside from that, the steering tube went straight down, like you see right there. So the angle for connecting it to the steering U-joint was extreme, and my steering was never right. It was always binding up and was a pain. So I completely switched that out, and I guess that's I'm not scripted here, so I figured that's the way we're going with this video next. So what did I do? Well, I redesigned the steering box, and don't mind my terrible welds, man. I'm self-taught and it works. But the quick release right there, it is a racing quick release, not one of the cheap Amazon ones. And there's actually a dashboard piece that's going to go right here. It's from Hammerhead, and yes, that is a Hammerhead dashboard piece, I think, or maybe it was from a Sunel or something like that, but it had a dashboard piece with it, and I scavenged those parts from one of those buggies. So this needle bearing piece that the steering top hat goes into is definitely from Hammerhead. So I put together my steering shaft here, and it goes neatly down to my heavily modified latest Rage. I believe this was an 8-inch steering rack. Now, the reason why I went with that is because I tried one of those Polaris Razor 170 kind of drop steering boxes. It's almost like it kind of reminds me of like a drag boat transmission conversion, where it goes in, you get a shaft that goes in the top and then a shaft that goes in the bottom, and it just kind of transfers the force, if you know what I mean. It's not exactly like a drag boat setup, because that's, going in one end and coming out the other end, but if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But that instantly broke in about 2 seconds. Let me see if I have the piece here laying around. Thought I did. Here it is. Yep. So the actual splines that were on the end of the output shaft for the, I don't know if it'll focus. Okay, well, it's not really focusing. I'm going to put it down, but it snapped instantly. Now it looks like a RC car pinion gear, but it was the end of the Polaris steering output, and it completely just twisted itself right to pieces instantly. I mean, when I say instantly, it was like the first 3 turns of the steering wheel. So, long story short, what did I do? Well, let's see if we can get a look at this thing here. So, made a mount for the steering box, and what I ended up having to do was I had to cut these ends right here. I had to cut about 4 inches off of that, and then I had to tap it and reinstall the Heim joint, and it's still gonna give me some bump steer because it's beyond the actual pivot point of the A-arm right here. It's beyond that. But I mean, I don't know if it shows on video, but it's really only an inch from this point to this point, like width-wise. So I think the bump steer will be minimal at best, I'm hoping. I mean, I've test driven it a few times, but that was with the 250 motor on it. And the steering seemed to, everything functioned, everything worked. But, I was on the street, so didn't get a lot of bumps going in there and getting the steering wheel yanked out of my hand. But anyway, so far it's working pretty well. Let me hook this back up. I mean, actually, it's working fantastic, if I'm honest. My steering's better than it's ever been. Let's see if we can show the ease of operation here. Yep. Now, it never turned that easy, and it turns easy. So, pretty happy with that. Everything functions. I got the washers there as stops. So, everything seems to be worked out on that. So, moving on. Obviously, winch plate. That's a pretty easy stick on. Orange County chopper style. We keep gluing stuff onto this thing, but no, seriously, I needed the winch, so that was necessary. And of course, the factory Polaris bumper, which is nice. So what else we got? Pretty obvious. Look at the Nerf bars. I absolutely love these Nerf bars. These Nerf bars are made of several old buggy cutoffs that I had. The actual structure of the Nerf bars is Carter GTR 250 roll bars. I got one of those insanely cheap. If I told you the price, you'd think I was lying, but I got one insanely cheap. I parted it out. I kept the cage. And these gussets were actually from my Carter XTV 1150 roll cage, which was being used for another project. So got that. I added the mud flaps with a small gusset that I made myself here, and they are going to serve quite the purpose, because you know, turning, getting mud in your face and in your teeth, not fun. Alright, so the mirrors, got the mirrors going. Also from the Carter XTV. Look at that, we got a light pod, an instrument cluster. I liked it so much from the Carter that my buddy Jim was talking to me about it. Shouts to James Jensen of the Jensen Motorsports channel on YouTube. And, you know, he told me how much he loved it, and I had to agree with him. It is pretty badass. So, cut it off, added it in. The little bump here is for the key switch because it didn't fit, but, you know, it's my best metalworking skills. But yeah, here's my little, have my little instrument panel up top, like a little jet fighter or something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Can-Am seat. Might be old news to some of you, but it's lightweight, it's poly, it's comfortable. So you gotta love that. 300EX toolkit. Put all kinds of goodies in there besides tools, but that's a completely other story. Speaking of XTV, I believe that's the XTV steering wheel as well, wrapped with Easton bat tape, because I like baseball. Also, XTV battery tray right behind the seat for all the electronics, the battery, solenoid, CDI, all that stuff going in there. Put nicely on the back here. Now you notice there's no motor. I mentioned the shocks already, and obviously custom mounted the shocks because they were longer. So we got them middle hole on each of the 3-position Go Power Sports. Shout out to GPS on their shock mounts. So like I said, don't hurt my welding. Everything's not done yet, obviously, but don't at me. I mean, give me a break. I build houses. So, yeah, wheels and tires. These are just the street meets. But, yeah, here's the 150 swing arm. Axle has been flipped so that the sprockets will line up when big surprise comes in. There's the brake mount. Everything works, everything fits, everything's good. So now I just have to figure out how I'm going to mount the motor, which is right here. What do we got here? Oh, there's a 1999 Yamaha Warrior 350. Just redid a bunch of goodies in the motor. New clutch. I painstakingly worked on that carb for more hours than I care to admit. So everything's good on this thing. Runs like a beast, ships through every gear. I have a problem with the kill switch. I bought 2 different kill switches, 2 different CDIs. I cannot get this bike to stop other than making it stall out. So, you got any ideas on that? Let me know. So, that being said, that is a 6-speed with a clutch. So, man, what are you going to do? Well, here's what we did. I have always wanted a 3-pedal go-kart machine. it has always been a priority of mine. So, I finally did it. Gas. Briggity brakes. Check out my clutch pedal. Bang-ola. Hook the clutch right up to here. Have a little tab coming off of here so that it can screw in and locate. You know that's going to work. So, my question mark. Here's my question mark. Here's my shifter I made. Works perfectly. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All good, no problem, no problem. Yes, that is a cruiser bicycle handlebar that I just cut. I didn't have to bend anything on that. So where's it go? Alright, twister hammerhead stuff. Alright, twister hammerhead shifting linkage with the little support, which I will locate somewhere in this area. And then what do we got? Well, we got this bar right here. It rides on bushings and is all threaded from the bottom mounts on the swing arm. So it's set. So my idea is having the pivot point of the shifting mechanism. There's a brake caliper that mounts right up, and my tie rods I'm working on. But anyway, I digress. Having the pivot point of where this thing is going to shift at the same pivot point of where the suspension and swing arm cycles, I'm thinking I should be safe as far as when I shift. It should, I don't want to shift and this thing goes over a bump and the suspension cycles. I'm thinking that all the pivot points should absorb that and not accidentally downshift me or upshift me, whatever. Hoping that. So I have some tabs here that are going to go in this type of thing. So then they'll go up and back when it shifts. And then I have another tab for over here that will go on this side. And we'll go up and back as I shift, and it cycles to get to where the foot shifter will be on the bike engine. I'm not an engineer, but so far my plans have worked out, and in my mind that seems like a solid plan. Keeping that pivot point as close to that pivot point, meaning, the pivot point of the shifting mech is going to be here, and the pivot point of the swing arm is here. That is a small distance. I'm hoping that will grant me easy shifting and no issues as far as bump shifting and, talking about bump steer, bump shifting would be worse, I think. So I'm trying to avoid that. So as far as mounting this motor and chain tension goes, I have a motor plate on the way. I'm going to have to add, a bar that goes from shock mount area to shock mount area. The engine will mount in this, general area right here. I'll get the sprockets to line up and everything will be dependent upon that. I know we're going long on this video, so what do I have? Well, I got more GTR stuff. This is the Sim engine mount from the GTR, which I kept specifically for this project. I figure it can go on the engine plates bolted to it, and then depending upon what I do, either this whole assembly is going to slide on the slots, or I'll use a chain tensioner. Haven't figured that out yet. I figure I'm going to walk before I run, and I figured that would involve getting the motor from the bike into the buggy, and I don't suppose that that's going to be the easiest thing in the world. But man, I've been working on this thing for easily, all told, it might be close to 7 or 8, maybe even 10 years now. I don't even know. But if I was a better editor, I would put a bunch of pictures of, like, you know, the Dazon when it first started and all that stuff. But at this point, I'm not. So that right there. Oh, there's body panels that I got for it. I got netting, like you know, Nerf bar type ATV netting. Well, I made custom ones, and I just got to make the mounts, and they'll go in the bottom part of the Nerf bar there. Trying to save on weight. So yeah, I got yeah, I got rear fenders I'm going to add to this. You know, obviously the front fender plastics. I have a hood that goes on this, and like I said, the dash panel. So it's going to look pretty finished. Pretty excited to get it done, and I hope y'all liked the video. And any questions, hit me up. Any suggestions, hit me up. If you think I suck, sure, tell me that too. All right, see y'all. Tell me I suck.